Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Character Witness. This week we're going to be talking to Billy about his various characters. Now Billy is also someone who is part of my current campaign and has been for about 4 years now? 4 years?
Have we been going 4 years?
I don't think we've been going for 4 years, but it sounds better that way.
Yeah, let's say 4 years.
No, I think it is.
It was March 11th, 2017.
Alright, 3. I was 1 off.
I mean,
2 off, I can't do math.
I mean, we're like
Right,
half a
I
year
just
off
want
of
to
being
just
3 years.
clarify before we go forward. 1, I can't read, and 2, I can't do math. Okay, let's go. Okay, so Bill, just to start off, just similar in the way to I started off Ryan's episode, what is the appeal to you from D&D? Like, what drew you towards it? Have you, like, when did you start playing? I know you play with us, but did you ever play when you were little or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I did drama in school. So this was back when I was like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
I was a big drama weeb.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a fantasy club that opened up with, like the stereotypical dorks that you'd see on like a TV show. I joined one of those clubs for about 2 months, and it was literally like 10 people sitting around with no role play, trying to punch stuff with an angry DM who just wanted to kill everyone. That was like...
So this group, was it full of, like, drama kids?
Oh, no. This was like me and one friend from drama. We were like...
Right, I thought you were playing D&D with a cast of Glee.
Man,
okay.
can you imagine a bunch of drama people? That'd be amazing.
I open the door!
Enter! To be fair, that could be a good character.
Really nice.
Write it down.
Yeah.
I'll take notes.
But no, it was me and one friend from drama. We like acting. Let's go do this roleplay game. And then it was a bunch of people like, I want to roll a hit. It's just shit like that.
So the people who only cared about combat and shit like that.
Oh yeah. But bear in mind, this was a clusterfuck of like 10 people all trying to have the spotlight. I mean, it was hilarious at the time. But then from there, it was just one-shots. Like, us guys did some one-shots back when we were like 15, 16 years old that went horribly.
Yeah.
And I did a couple with some shout-outs to the Wise Men. Like Gaz and Kat,
Hey.
we played a couple of games. Then late teens, I played with my friend Adam and cousin Danny, who literally played Pierce Hawkthorne from Community. That was his character.
Wow.
So we had a dragonkin barbarian, a dwarf cleric, and Pierce Hawkthorne.
So what is the aspect of the game that like most interests you? Is it just the acting part, or?
Definitely role playing. Like, don't get me wrong, the combat's fun, and we've done a lot of crazy stuff in combat. Like, I would never say, I don't like combat because it's really good, but I live for the downtime moments. Like, last session we had, I mean, apart from like we had that Kraken fight, but that only lasted about half an hour maybe, and then it was like 2.5 hours of just character development, and I mean, Chaffinch got a lot of screen time in that as well. I like that kind of stuff. It's fun playing off of people's characters. I mean, that goes back to school as well, just being able to be a character and be like, oh wow, this is different, this is nice.
Yeah, I think it scratches a very specific itch where I just feel like we talked about it with Ryan last episode. It was a case of like it's just this compulsion to play off other people and like just goof around, like not to be obstructive in the game, but it's just fun to be a goof because like that's all me and Ryan have ever done. just be idiots.
That's all 3 of us have done. Even like the opposite of being a goof, like if you want to play, a stuck-up law-abiding man in a party full of people who would definitely be goofballs.
Yeah,
that's its own fun in its own right because you suddenly become the dad. So it's like trying to rein people in.
As long as you're like building off anyone in the party, however you build can be up to you. But if you're building off each other, I think it was one of the most important things.
It's just a lot of fun when you just mix a bunch of wacky characters together who like bounce off each other in good ways and bad ways.
Yeah, and sort of like once you're in a group, like you can make a character, you can draw up all the backstory you want, but once you're in a group, you find that like your character becomes someone you never thought they'd become because like you're bouncing off people who were not that they're stopping you from becoming like whatever you envisioned at the start, but like say you wanted your character to be super serious, but if you find yourself in a group of adventurers who like just want to have fun, you'll find that it is contagious. So your character might become like more fun. So like, say if you write down the stereotypical, I'm gonna be a lone wolf, my parents are dead, and then you're hanging out with these goofballs all the time, you're gonna learn to be at least a little bit fun. And
yeah, I
then
mean,
it becomes
sometimes you don't think about your parents being dead. You just
yeah,
like,
then it becomes my parents are dead.
That's right, dead tired of going to Gene Scratchy.
Just a little clown honk at the end of it, lighten things up a little. But yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into your characters, not physically, that'll be weird. But just discuss them. So the first one I'm going to discuss, who holds a very special place in my character's heart, it is Seebo Magnifico, the tiny magician man. So if you'd like to tell us a little bit about Seebo Magnifico.
Yes, Seebo Magnifico was a magician known far and wide. I'm sure everyone's heard of him.
Absolutely.
But when I made Seebo, so like this is going back to like when I was like 13, 15, when we played all those one-shots. I basically always played a dwarven cleric for some reason because I didn't want to go anywhere out of my comfort zone, and I always like playing the supporty classes.
Yeah.
So I was like, healer, dwarf, they're fun, they're tiny, and they punch stuff. So with Seebo, I was like, I just want to do something, just different from like what I normally do. So instead of being law-abiding cleric man, it suddenly became a stereotypical gnome who shoots fire everywhere, laughing hysterically. But I kind of wanted to play him like more from where he was from, as opposed to what kind of a character he was.
Yeah.
So when I made Seebo, I was speaking to Mike, our dungeon master, and I was like, "Do you mind if I like just design a place that he's from that's like away from the world?" I had no plans of going there, but obviously that backfired, and we ended up doing a lot of stuff there.
Yep.
Yeah, I made Whimsy Isle, which is it's away from all of the mainland. It's full of a bunch of gnomes who love playing tricks on each other. They have really weird customs, and I just wanted him to be a product of that. So I was like, oh, how do I work the sorcerer class? Because they've come from like divine bloodlines and stuff. I was like, how do I work that in? I was just like, maybe he just has no idea. Maybe he has no idea about magic. Like he didn't have Arcana as a skill. He knew nothing about magic. He was just some dude who was born with these powers, and he was like, I'm gonna be a magician. It was just that was just the fun of Seebo, was just getting into wacky antics. But I played him as a good character. I probably could have played him neutral, but I don't know. I feel like with gnomes, it's fun to have they're crazy, but they're trying to do overall good things in the end. It's not just they're gonna start burning down villages for fun. That would just be boring after a while.
I mean, there were flashes of his. Because I remember a couple of times when my old pacifist barbarian was trying to talk people down, and it looked like it was going south. Like it would either be Seebo or Taran who would be like, "Well, guess we're fighting now." Throw a fireball or something at them.
It was I think it was his ideal I wrote down was that he changes his mind quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it showed, but a lot of the times I played Seebo, I was like, "Look, we have to do this. This is the right thing to do." And somebody would be like, "Oh, we could do this," and he'd be like, "That's a great idea. Let's do that." Just like be instantly ready to start shooting magic missiles everywhere. It was a lot of fun just playing someone who was just lol random XD, I guess, is the easiest way to explain.
It felt like on purpose. Like for the example I gave, like I think when like my pacifist guy was trying to talk everyone down, Seebo like initiating a fight wouldn't have been like, "Oh, this is boring. I don't like pacifism. He has a fireball." Yeah. It was a case of this is going south. My buddy over there is probably going to get like several arrows in him. I'm going to try and circumvent that. Whereas I feel like anyone else just literally just wanted to fight.
Yes, that was Seebo liked talking people out of combat, but he was always ready to like just roll up his cuffs and be like, I guess we're doing this now. I think that was back when you played Flobbert.
Yes,
that was
big flop.
It was a lot of fun playing like complete opposites because you were like a pretty straight-faced, I don't want to say no nonsense because you were definitely a goofball, but it was much more. It was much more hidden, whereas Seebo on the surface was a goofball. So there's a lot of fun bouncing off of characters like that. Also, everyone hated him, which made me even happier.
Speaking of him goofing around, like I was never like entirely sure of Seebo whether he was actually. No, I wouldn't go as far as to call him a con man, but like. I don't know if he was ever aware of how actually like bad he was at magic, or whether he was genuinely trying. And that was fascinating to me because like sometimes he'd be like he'd disguise himself, he'd try and trick people, and then like, but then like if he needed to do a performance check, he would really try and do it, and I'm like, what's it? Is he generally just fucking about? Like I don't understand.
It was honestly, it was I don't want to be that guy who's like, every character is an extension of me, but that was like an actual extension of me. Was I like to put a lot of bravado and overconfidence on things that I can't do because it's hilarious when you can't do them and people are like, but you were just saying you could do that. Seebo was the same way. He actually he was like, I think he believed that he was good at it, but he secretly deep down knew that he knew nothing about what he was doing. So it was just like, it was just a lot of trial and error. Like the first thing we did was, because the campaign opened with us like just waking up in a field after just a general night of tavern stuff. The first thing I rolled was a natural 1 on my performance check, and that kind of just set like Seebo as a character in stone from that point on. Was he came over from Whimsy Isle with like 10 woodland animals, rolled a natural 1, lost all of his woodland animals, then fell asleep.
God.
Yeah, I think it was I don't want to say con because he wasn't like actively trying to trick people. I think I'd go with when you said like he was trying. He was trying, but deep down he knew that he wasn't very good.
So in terms of Seebo, what do you think? Like, even though he's sadly not with us anymore, do you think during his his lifespan, did he have like a certain defining moment, or any typical like or fight or anything you were particularly proud of, or anything?
Oh man, that's a good one. Oh God, Seebo did so much stupid stuff that it's really. I mean, obviously, so we went to just for people watching who don't know, we went to Whimsy Isle, which was his homeland. He got chucked out of it because it was a place full of wizards, and he never studied, but he was really good at magic. So there was like a bit of gnome jealousy, and then they got attacked by dragons. Now, like Seebo's a dickhead. It was clearly his fault. So when he went back, everyone hated him, and it was kind of like, I guess, I mean, I don't want to say redemption because it wasn't completely redemption, but he went in, cleaned up the mess. People liked him again. I think that was like probably the main character moment for Seebo because we fought it was like a nerfed dragon. I don't know if it was a baby dragon. I honestly can't remember, but it was a big dragon, and we probably weren't the right level for it, and everyone had their asses kicked. It
knocked me out.
Yeah,
it was Travis' first fight when he didn't believe dragons are real.
Seebo went down twice. Ren fucking died. I think it was Mystery with us at that point. I don't.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I died at the preamble. I died at the baby dragon. Well, I didn't die. I got knocked out, and then we fought the actual big. I think it was bronze, wasn't it?
It was brass. Brass.
Yeah.
Same thing. You all look the fucking same.
Whoa.
I like to. If I had to pick a fight for serious Seebo, I feel like that was it because it was less. Yeah. Seebo went into combat a bit flamboyant, saying a lot of catchphrases, but for that one fight, it was like totally serious because you kind of realize that damn, friends are dying and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just we took out a dragon. Ran off to save Ren. The town liked him again. They got rid of Seebo Day as a holiday where they all celebrated when they got rid of Seebo, and they changed it to Seebo Day where he saved everyone. But apart from that fight, if we want to go the other way, I always remember in I think it's like the first or second game, we walked down a road. I had used a charm person on our dragon character, dragonkin, dragonborn. I can't remember what they're called. Dragonborn, who was very stuffy, and he came off that way. I used charm person. We became best friends for an hour. We walked down the road. He had me sitting on his shoulders while I laughed and shot like magic. And we found an old man on a cart. And Seebo just from Torrin's shoulders started shooting fire at everyone, being like, "We'll save you, old man!" Just, oh man. Oh man, just stuff like that was fun for Seebo. He was really he thought he was bigger than what he was.
Yeah, I really like that. I think it was that what made it so good was Dave, who was playing the dragon character, was his willingness to just commit to the charm person. And just the fucking holding you on his shoulders like a child, skipping through the forest. And the fucking
man. Yeah, as far as battles go, two different sides, both very fun.
Yeah. So in terms of like, not like we've already discussed like where you got Seebo's personality from or anything, but what was the inspiration for like his look? What was the inspiration for the fact that he always carries little like woodland critters around with himself? Did you base them on any like existing characters or anything like that?
It was honestly just kind of brainstorming. Seebo, I mean, I'm sure somebody out there will be like, "It's not original." Like, what are you talking about? It's this character. But no, he was probably the most original character I've made. Just because it was more messing about, making an extension of myself. I was like, what can I do to really make him wacky? But obviously, he wore a bright pink outfit. My favorite color's pink, so I wanted to be as stupid as possible. I went for the typical magician look, just top hat, cape, lots of bowing, lots of big sleeves that he kept stuff off. With the woodland critters, it was just honestly straight out the player's handbook. They were like, gnomes like to sometimes keep pets, and I was like, oh, magician, rabbit, and that goes hand in hand. And Conquer the Squirrel just came about because I was like, let's just said to Mike, our DM, I was like, I'm looking for squirrels because I like squirrels, basically.
Hang on, wait. So just to give everyone visibility at home, like after Seebo's death, like all of his critters were presumed dead. My character recently found in his old home, or in his old room, sorry, his squirrel friend Conker, and like adopted him sort of. Does that mean the rabbit's fucking dead?
Yeah, Dimple's 100. So before Seebo died, he had an attempted escape moment from some big old royal guards, where Conker got away, but Dimples always stayed under Seebo's hat because he was really like shy and So unfortunately, Dimples was definitely there when Seebo got blown up. I mean, unless this is a universe where tiny woodland creatures are immune to damage. But,
I've never tried it myself. Apparently, rabbit is delicious. So
we had that whole section where people were eating rabbit in front of Seebo and Dimples.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah. And another thing, I've lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, can we discuss like what always used to happen when Seebo got knocked out? The little fireworks thing.
Oh Jesus! So this came about. This was really spur of the moment. So obviously, magicians have a lot of stuff going on, like in their clothes. You've seen people like you must have seen magicians doing tricks and stuff that keep stuff up their sleeves and their hats. I was like, what if you just kind of had like a little arcane trigger, or maybe not even arcane, just a bunch of. So the first time Seebo went down in combat, I just said there was a whoopee cushion in his trousers. So as he flopped over, it's just a big old fart noise as he landed. People enjoyed that, so then it kind of escalated to the point where like it'd have like what they called like party poppers, and you know those little blowy party things, just stuff like that in his clothes that would just go off whenever he had the crap kicked out of him.
I think part of that as well was I think my character had played a prank on you to get you back for something that you had done, and I had like used sleight of hand and invisible mage hand to tie some of your strings together or something.
Yeah, no, you absolutely did. Yeah, you tied all of my stuff together into like one trigger instead of. Good remembering, because he had a bunch of stuff under his clothes that he'd used for his stuff, and you tied them all into one trigger. So when he went over, literally every part of his magic act just went off at once.
Jesus.
Man, yeah, that just kind of became a running gag. I really enjoyed that.
It was great. Right. Now we're going to talk about another character of yours, who I have no idea about, as I never met them. It is someone called Maud, I believe.
You never met Maud?
I did not. I was
away. No. Yeah, so I guess I'll just give people a really quick rundown. We had a little time skip moment where characters went off to like do their own personal goals, but obviously we wanted to keep on playing. So Ryan and I brought in 2 new characters while Seebo went off with your character at the time, Chaffinch.
Yes.
They went back to Whimsy-Isle and had a duo bro trip for like a month and a half, which is why they became such good friends by the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I brought in Maud. Assume you guys have seen Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maud was Courage the Cowardly Dog. So Seebo was over the top flamboyant, always ready to get into danger. I was like, I just want to play the opposite now. So I
Yeah.
played Maud, who was it's a homebrew race called a mouse folk.
Yeah.
They're literally like 3 foot tall mice on bipedal legs.
Mhm.
But he was a wizard because I wanted to do supporty stuff. He was scared of everything, and the only reason he did stuff was because he met Ryan's character, Ard the Ancient, I think.
Yeah.
Is that his full name? Yeah. Ard the Ancient, who was like, he was a paladin who wanted to protect people. Maud was just along for the ride. But he had no spells that could do damage. Maud did 0 points of damage in the whole time he was in the party.
Nice.
Yeah,
Is that true?
Yeah, he didn't do any damage. I didn't. Maud was he was like, I think skittish is the term. Like he was
Yeah.
very nervous. He didn't like hurting people unless he had to, which he got pulled into for like a month in game time. It was like the worst month of his life, which is why he promptly disappeared. But yeah, he came from Terra's Peak, which is like a big capital city in our place.
Yeah.
He lived in like a secret alleyway, which all these wizard mice, they had spent years making this thick fog that people would get scared to walk through.
Mhm.
It's an actual spell. I can't remember what the spell's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
So his whole character was, I guess, a bit roguish in like sneaking. But I didn't want to play a rogue. I really wanted to play someone with intelligence after Seebo. Seebo should have been smart, but he wasn't. But yeah, Maud used stuff like sleep, blindness, deafness, enlarge,
Grease.
like grease me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had all supporty spells, and honestly, it's probably like some of the most fun I've had playing a character. Because when you play a character who's full on support, you kind of have to really think about the fight and like what stuff's going to happen. Like I think there was a good combo move me and you came up with because Ard had that shield. Is it Shield Master?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, where you could knock
Defeat.
people. Yeah, where you could knock people back. So Maud would like put grease behind them, and we'd just knock them over and stuff. There's a lot of wacky hijinks. But yeah, he was he was Courage the Cowardly Dog with the voice of Perry from Kevin and Perry. I really did enjoy him.
So
I think you liked him.
is he still among the living?
Yes, he got out just
Excellent.
before everyone died.
Nice. Yeah. From
Yeah,
the
he,
picture that you've sent me, he does look like a adorable little fella, and I wouldn't want his face to get caved in by a death knight. So
He was he's adorable, but he hated human interaction. So there was like a lot of kids trying to hug him, and like even Miskira was hugging, and he was just like he really didn't like people being near him. So it was just he was just anxiety mouse basically.
oh bless.
Yeah, a lot of fun. And he went off with Ard to go and help him research where he came from, and I think he's very happy being a scientist in a faraway land.
Protected
I'm really
by a
happy.
big beefy man.
As much as I love Seebo, he was a time bomb until he was going to die. Maud, I didn't want to die ever because he's too nice. He was like 2 years old, I think.
Oh dear.
Yeah, they grew up really quick, so he was like a 2-year-old mouse. Oh man, good times.
I loved
Yeah.
his interactions because at that point of the group, it was still, besides like Devin and Chaffinch not being there, it was still the same sort of group, and having the interactions from Seebo being completely different from how the interactions with Maud were was really interesting as well.
Yeah, it was nice to play off it in a different way because whereas Seebo used to push people a lot, like he didn't do it out of like being mean spirited. He just knew how to push buttons and he found it funny. So Torrin was very uppity and he'd like take the mick out of him for that. Ren was a gnome from a completely different place. He was like very he was a cleric, so he was very by the book law man, and Seebo just loved being like, we should be wacky because we're gnomes. Maud was the complete opposite. He was terrified of Torrin. He didn't understand Ren. He was very much a background character, but I liked playing him like that.
Yeah.
And he had a few moments of bravery as well, which was quite nice. There was a time where I think it was Ard who got knocked out, right?
Maybe on the roof.
Yeah, so Ard fell off of a roof after getting peppered with like 30 goddamn arrows because you were huge.
Jesus.
And Maud's big character development moment was doing a performance check to distract people while he just ran across a road, which doesn't sound like much, but bear in mind he was very much always in the back line, not trying to get involved in any kind of combat.
I mean, if there was enough arrows to take down a tank paladin, and then,
Maud would
Yeah.
and then
Maud would.
the dude who's 2 years old, 3 foot tall, is running across the road going, "Shoot me instead!" Like he would have been turned into a pincushion probably.
Oh, one thing you would have liked, Gary, was I played I think it was an abjuration wizard,
Yeah.
and they get an ability where they get an arcane shield,
Mm-hmm.
and they can project it at some point.
Yeah.
So half of Maud's moves were he would Captain America his shield in front of people to
we
like
like
take
that.
hits for people. Yeah, his support class through and through. It was super fun.
Nice.
I'd happily play that kind of wizard again.
Cool. Right. Let's get on to the big beefy portion.
Oh,
Let's
God.
talk about Ruff.
I'm really biased towards Ruff. So I used to think that like Seebo would always be like, that's my go-to fun time character. When we made Ruff because we unfortunately took a fight we shouldn't have. No one's idea here, of course. It was completely everyone else. But Ryan and I lost our characters, unfortunately, RIP. And because I really like playing smaller characters. I think just from growing up with like Dragon Ball and
Yeah.
Pokemon, stuff like that. There's just something really fun about being a small character who can, punch up, which I've always found appealing. Which is why I play dwarves so much, then gnomes, then mouse folks. I was like, let's just do something completely different. And yeah, Ruff the drunk monk was born. So he's a barbarian monk cross class, but he was just a monk. So when you play a monk, the general rule is you stack decks because dex monks are ridiculous, and that's how you should play them. Like they're just really good.
Yeah.
So I did the complete opposite and decided to play a strength monk because I just like the idea of someone completely overpowering people by punching them in the head. Oh god, where do I even start? So Ruff is an 8 intelligence half orc. He's from like the sticks. Yeah. It was again the same kind of thing with Whimsy-R was I wanted to make him a product of where he was from. So he's literally just a farmer. Like there was nothing really special about him. He just has really big farmer's muscles and he's a meathead.
Like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, exactly. Except I think way nicer than Brock Lesnar. The character Brock Lesnar, not him IRL.
Yeah, don't say anything disparaging about him, Casey.
Yeah. I wanted to make a character who had parents, or in this case, one parent. Yeah. Because, Seemo's parents were dead. Maud's parents were in the game, but they weren't like a prominent figure. They were just, Maud has parents. They're alive.
Yeah.
So I said to Mike, I was like, I just want to have like, I want Ruff to have like a proper normal family upbringing somewhat. So his mum, who is a dwarf, because, small people are fun. He's very protective over her. She taught him how to fight. He learned stuff from his dad as well.
Yeah.
Oh man, so he's a drunken monk because part of his backstory was their town was being like completely picked dry by a lord who wanted more money, but they had really bad grounds for growing crops and stuff.
Yeah.
So, but one day he discovered this barley and stuff grows really well in this soil, and it turns out his town's really good for growing. Just making the stuff to
hops and shit like that.
Yeah, hops and stuff. So I was just like, that's a good excuse for a drunk monk, and that gives me an excuse for the way I play him as well, which is so we have 3 monks in the party. Yours, Chaffinch dips in and out of combat, like you'll go in for punches, then get out and throw knives. Jax is very utility based, and he's got big armor, so he can take more hits. So I made Ruff to be the guy who sticks on people. It's like he has the crap kicked out of him, but he's just there to be an annoyance. Like, he hunts people down. He just stays on them, so they can't get to the back line as much. Oh man, he's so fun. Like I was saying at the start of this huge rant, like Seebo, I thought would always have a place in my heart, but Ruff's super grown on me. I wasn't sure how much I'd like him, but now he's just a massive goofball. He's a complete idiot, but
well, I was saying to Ryan, like the thing I like about Ruff and Jax is like, as soon as a fight starts, and my brain just turns off in terms of worrying about either of your characters because they're both just brick shit houses, And
Yeah.
like even to the point where Ryan's character Jax is made of fucking paper mache, but I had no idea because he's got all these abilities that raises AC. The same with like when I came back into the party, I wasn't sure how Ruff just wouldn't die all the time until I clocked on that his had like a vampiric sword type deal going on. I was like,
yeah, I didn't mention the sword.
and like in that big fight where we almost got like 2/3 of the party killed by that exploding demon, like you guys lasted up close and personal way longer than you should have, because I tried it right at the start of the fight and got mulched in one turn and then ran away. I was like, oh fuck, I'm on fire.
It's thanks to a lot of teamwork that Ruff stays up. I feel bad because of people have to put a lot of heals into Ruff. He's got a bigger health pool now, but he didn't at the start because I had a barbarian dice and I rolled one on them twice.
Jeez.
So instead of 24 HP, I got 2 or like 5 or whatever it was with my comms. But yeah, Ruff fighting. I don't tell people often. You'll hear me say, because we have a rule which is when you hit half health, you can say that you're looking rough.
Yeah.
And it's just a way to, like, without saying, oh, I'm on 5 HP exactly. It's a nice flavor way to be I'm hurting.
I'm in trouble. Yeah.
I have 10 HP. What's HP?
Ruff never has mid-range health. He's either maxed out or he's on 10. It's really because he's not a dex monk. He doesn't have a lot of AC. It's gone up now thanks to a few traits and things that I've managed to get.
Yeah.
But I played him as very much just a time bomb of punching until he would fall over. It was like every fight we get into with Ruff, it was just like, okay, I get in, I stun people, I do as much damage as possible until we get a few people down, then it's safe for everyone else to clean up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's scary as crap because I don't want Ruff to die. He's such a nice guy, but when you're a frontline puncher, that's what happens.
I have a quick question for you. So we were talking about how Ruff has sort of like overtaken Seebo and who you think you've got like the most fun out of.
Yeah.
Do you think it was down solely to the characters, or do you think it's now like over time you've gotten better at creating a character and better at playing the game and that
man. Definitely, yeah, I think it's definitely down to getting better at like just role playing and character interaction because we started off. Actually, we were really good. We weren't too murder hobo-y when we first started playing like properly. Because this campaign's been, I don't know about you guys, but it's been my first like long campaign. This has gone over 2 years, whereas normally I play for like a month at most. But yeah, I think it's a mix of me getting better at character interaction and everyone else getting better at character interaction. And I think the group we have now is a lot easier to bounce around from. Because with Seebo, it was a lot of, your character, Devin, I don't want to say as uppity as Torrin, but, you were serious. You weren't, like, you had your jokey moments, but he was very much a stop being a shitter Seebo, like most people in the party. So Seebo was very much, winding people up a bit. Whereas now our party composition, oh, Jesus, we've got a bunch of goofballs. We've got Nyx, who we completely wind up all the time. Chaffinch, Jax, and Ruff are a horrible trio of personalities.
The Punch Brothers themselves.
Yeah, the Punch Brothers. I think that's a lot of the interactions that has made me enjoy Ruff more, is because you guys have brought like the best of him out. And I think it's just his general personality, because Seebo liked doing the right thing, but it was never like a priority for him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if he could help innocents, he would. But if he had to do something mean-spirited, he would do it. I've played Ruff a bit more lawful than I thought I would, but I kind of lent that way because we've got so many more like wild cards in the party, and I think that's kind of what's brought me out more. He's got a bit of a moral code, despite being a big drunk half-orc with 8 intelligence. And it's fun to bounce off of people in that way. Like,
yeah, he's much more of like a well-to-do, jovial drunk than a. Even though he is part barbarian, it's never really. He's not the type of barbarian who's gonna flip out and do friendly fire damage because he's so angry or anything like that.
Yeah, like the only times he's gotten angry is like normally with himself, because we didn't like speak about it too much, but so when you take a level in barbarian, you learn how to use barbarian weapons, obviously. Yeah. And there was a little week in-game time where Jackson Ruff went off to go visit his mum. And I kind of like I just ruled it there and then, like it just a spur of the moment thing was Jax taught Ruff how to fight with a sword,
Yeah.
just over that week, he kind of picked it up, and that was like the first time he got angry. Was because he got angry with himself because he was like, I don't know how to use this goddamn thing. All I do is punch, and suddenly he's swinging around a metal vampiric sword. So it was like, yeah, that was like the first bit of Barbarian. And then I said to Mike afterwards, I was like, I don't think it ever came up, but I said like, oh, if we rule like the anger stuff for Ruff, can it come from more of a, like you said, jovial drunk? So like just a drunk guy who's having a good time as opposed to a drunk guy angry looking for a fight.
Not like a hooligan. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of lose that flavor every now and then, but I suppose that happens with everyone because it's hard to keep a character the same like all the time. So sometimes I roll back into normal Barbarian. I'm like, oh, god damn it, like I didn't want to do that. Yeah, oh man, it's so unique.
So on that, on just like say the moment you went back, learned how to fight with the sword and all that stuff, is there any moment like similar to what we asked about Seebo? Like, what do you think so far is the best moment for you for Ruff? Like, has there been anything in particular?
So as soon as you said that, it popped into my head instantly. One thing I'll always come back to is, so Ruff fancies himself a businessman. And he's actually surprisingly good at it. Like, it's gone really well considering he's got 0 charisma modifier. But one of the early games, so Ruff turned up with a bunch of barrels of his ale, Ruff's Ruff Ale, as he calls it.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to sell it, so he was like, "Oh, Jax, you're good with people." This is Ryan's character, who is a bard. He was like, "You're good with people. Can you help me sell this?" So this is more of Ryan's moment than mine, but I loved it just from like a collab. Like you took over and we did some performance checks and we acted out a story of a guy who drank Ruff Ale to defeat a dragon, and the way it always plays out in my head is if people watching have seen Community, when Pierce and Jeff have to do the Spanish presentation, and it's just like them with sparklers, and then they're like shooting guns at each other, and it gets more and more outrageous as it goes along. Whenever I think of that, it makes me smile. It's just so goofy, and it's just like just perfect for the characters.
I think it was like we rolled 33 on performance as well, or something outrageous. Like we played instruments along with it. Like,
well, it started because I was giving you support because Ruff plays a ukulele, and I specifically took a ukulele because it's a giant man playing a tiny instrument. And that's the only reason why I took it. And it started with that and just turned into a full performance. Oh man, just like that role play in general is just really fun to do. Ruff's such an easy, like, I feel like I could give Ruff to anyone, give him a basic outline and 10 minutes of me saying stuff and they'd kind of get him because he's such an easy character to get into, but he's such an easy character, like he's just such a fun character to play.
No, I think it's
a fun character to play off as well.
Yeah.
And he's just very relatable. Like what does he want? Success in like just to get more money and also just to do well by his family. Like he's not overly complicated. He hasn't got any like grand goals to like you would have thought that when he do, because we recently capped off one of your major plot points where there was a dude in a keep above your little village who was just being a shitter to everyone, and like we defeated him, and like some like more, I don't say more complex characters because Ruff is complex, but like some more like ambitious in terms of like political landscape, they would have taken the keep for themselves and started like delegating things and just sort of doing stuff like that. But like as soon as we defeat him, you're like, that's good enough for me, like evil stomped out, let's go on to the next thing. So like I think because of his low intelligence, I think that also makes him more honest than most characters, because like he's not pretending to do anything, he doesn't have any ulterior motives. He's like, this is what I'm going to do, let's do that, and then the next one, let's do that. Which also I feel like as someone who plays them, like I felt the same way about like my barbarians, like because they're so simple, it's you're not encroaching on other people's storylines. It's very much like here's what I want to do, I can help you, or I can do my own thing, and it all feels very organic because you're not like, you don't have like an end game. It's just like it's very black and white for a character of low intelligence, which I think is quite nice and simple.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just to go back to that Kaelin stuff as well. So, Ruff had it out for Kaelin because when they were younger, Kaelin executed his father for something Ruff did. Because Ruff tried to take a fight with this guy and all of his boys.
Yeah.
Obviously went badly because Ruff was like 10 years old. So he had the crap kicked out of him. He was going to be killed, but his dad stepped up to be executed instead. So that was like it was a lot of motivation for Ruff, but I think part of like you said, it's a simple goal. Like you said, it's like when we got there is like around that time I was thinking, what would Ruff want out of this? And it was never about, oh, I need to kill Kalen. Because it started off as a funny joke as I need to chuck Kalen out of a window.
Yeah.
That was Ruff's only goal. Like, I didn't even necessarily say, kill him. It's just he needs to be thrown out of a window.
Yeah.
He's done. But then when we got there, it was like, I got to say, props to Mike for that whole section. I know it's biased really because, that's my character's backstory. But going into that, Ruff was like, he went from I want to chuck him out a window to I want him to go to jail because that's what happens to bad people. They go and serve their time, and that's like the kind of guy Ruff is. He tries to like just abide by the laws and stuff.
Yeah.
But when we got there, Kalen had been like horribly poisoned, and the only thing keeping him alive was one of Ruff's father's power gauntlets that he wears.
Yeah.
I don't actually think I said that. Ruff wears the Infinity Gauntlet. They're just gauntlets of ogre strength, but we rolled it a bit more into story, so it puts his strength up to 19. But that was the only thing keeping Kalen alive was he had one of those gauntlets. So Ruff took it back, obviously, because it belongs to his dad, so he wanted it back.
Yeah.
And as soon as he kicked him off, Kalen just he didn't die horribly. He was on the edge of living anyway.
Turned into mac and cheese and floated away.
Yeah, he wouldn't have taken a single hit. If I had punched him once, he would have died.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that. I just wrestled the gauntlet off him and he just died and floated away. And we had a really nice moment on the ship afterwards when Jack was like, oh, did that go like the way you thought it would? And Ruff was like, no. But it came from a point of he wants to do the right thing, but what's there to feel right about when you've just taken a gauntlet off a guy, he's melted in front of you, and then his father's crying afterwards. Like, even though Ruff took it out of his dad, that was just out of pure anger because he was like, I felt bad not putting more time into that, but the whole motivation, because he threw his dad across the room.
Yeah.
It was more out of anger that he couldn't do the right thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that he got his own sort of end to his story, or that part of his story, but it was at the expense of someone losing a loved one, which is why you went on the whole quest. And so it sounds like you're perpetuating a cycle, and maybe that's the real reason you were angry type thing.
Yeah, I look back at it now. I wish I played it out a bit more. But Ruff's a very like you said, he's a simple character, simple motivations. He's not a man of many words. He just kind of threw him out the way, and it was like, he killed my dad. But it all comes down to that guy killed his dad, and now he's killed that guy's son. It's it's not a nice feeling. So
my question regarding this, and I'll expand on why I'm asking this in a second.
Yeah.
If you want to reveal it, if not, because we're still in that campaign. But what is Ruff's alignment?
He's neutral good.
Yeah.
That's what he started as.
Mm-hmm.
I think over time I've lent more towards lawful, honestly.
Yeah. So what I got from the whole sequence of you pulling the gauntlet off, well, your dad's gauntlet off that character, the villain, and then giving it back to yourself, and rather than you could have just then used the gauntlets, even though you were floating through this dimensional space, you could have punched him into dust. But I think what the goodness in Ruff as a character prevented him from doing that. So it's just a case of he actually got what he wanted. He's I made it right by getting my dad's gauntlet back, because you are a barbarian. You could have went into super rage mode at being that close to this guy who you've had a grudge with for so long. And I think the fact that your acknowledgement of I've made it right, I don't need to go that step further, sort of means that the goodness within him has sort of overpowered his sort of more base instincts to just rage and pummel someone to dust. So I thought it was an incredibly important moment for your character, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's with the session that's just gone, because we just kind of had a role play session mostly.
Yeah,
that was kind of what I wanted. That's kind of what I was visiting. You've nailed it on the head there. It was it wasn't until after that whole kind of thing, because it takes time to process what you want your character to be feeling and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was exactly it. He took the gauntlet back. He could have punched Kalen, but even if Kalen was alive, I don't think he would have. If Kalen survived that, if he didn't just die from a disease, I think Ruff would have probably grabbed him and taken him with him to try and get some kind of justice for it. I certainly lean towards lawful good. The problem, I say problem, that it's a good thing. The thing with our campaign at the moment is we're living in a post-apocalyptic world, and the law is really corrupt. Well, not really corrupt, but there's a lot of corruption in the law right now.
Yeah.
and Ruff is a product of that corruption, obviously, because the lords were being horrible to his town and abusing the people.
Yeah.
So he leans towards lawful, but I don't think he'll ever be fully lawful because of the current system.
Mm-hmm.
It's that was one thing I wrestled with. How you said about how he didn't want to take the keep. I was like, would Ruff take the keep and try and make things good for everyone around him? But even though that's a really nice character, it didn't feel right for Ruff.
Yeah, I think he knows his limitations in terms of being a leader and stuff.
Exactly, it wouldn't have worked. It would have felt really weird for this just bumble, this kid from the sticks to try and make things good for everyone. So I think it made more sense for him to he's trying to do it from outside of the law, which is a good thing with there's a character called General Strong who was made by Ryan and Mike, who's taken over the keep now. And after that I was like, okay, this is good, because General Strong is as far as we know, a nice upstanding man. Russ's very happy to have him in control because he knows that he's looking out for the people. I think it came together really well in the end. I put way too much thought into what am I going to do? Do we take this fort?
Yeah.
But it's all worked out in the end. Ruff gets to carry on being just a man of the people, but he doesn't have to take a leadership role, which would never work.
Yeah, especially with, that's a beautiful segue onto your character sheet, which you can take a look at. Because leaders need charisma, and Ruff only has 10 charisma.
He started with 9, but I used an ASI to get him up to 10.
Nice. I mean, it's good to round it out.
Yeah,
it was. I think than my characters.
Does Chaffinch have 8 charisma?
Yeah, because he's insufferable.
Oh wait, I remember you saying that when you talked to Ryan.
Yeah. We'll get onto that in my episode. So I actually because for Ruff, the way you touched on it earlier, you wanted to be a monk, but you also wanted to be a punchy monk rather than the swiftness of a 1,000 eagles running up walls and backflipping. Although I'm pretty sure you could give it a good go because you are a monk.
He can run up trees.
But the thing you're mostly leaning into, from what I could see, is strength and constitution, because we do after Ren's passing, we don't really have a tank unless Miskria is using an earth elemental form or something like that. Even my own characters that are usually up close and personal, Chaffinch isn't a tank at all. But also what's interesting to me, and I'm not maybe I'm missing something here, but you've got 16 wisdom. What's the deal?
Yeah, so monks, obviously, the way monks calculate the AC is dexterity plus wisdom. But I wanted to. The way I always think of it is intelligence is book smarts. That really shows my book smarts coming out. Intelligence is book smarts, and wisdom is more street smarts, I guess. It's what you've learned about the land. So I think the way I kind of ruled it out was Ruff learned a lot from his mum and his dad. He knows a lot about farming, about animals, about which mushrooms you should eat, which ones you shouldn't eat. And also his mum's a monk anyway. I don't know if Mike's changed it, but originally she was a monk of the open hand. So she kind of, because he's a half orc and he's easy to anger, just with that barbarian bloodline. I always wrote it as his dad taught him a lot about the world, while his mum taught him the patience of fighting, if that makes sense. So all of the actual monk stuff is just a product of his parents, really. And the intelligence, it was always going to be 8, because having a drop stat is fun, and having an idiot from a farm is even more fun. So wisdom, I mean, obviously from I won't say it's all flavor, because obviously it's just from a character standpoint, you need a bit of AC, especially if you're going to be in the front line.
Wisdom is extremely useful of monks, but say is someone like me who has a monk, I wouldn't put that many points in it. Maybe that's just because Challenge is stupid, but regardless.
Yeah, it was more because I think it's survival checks and animal handling and stuff. I always thought, would Ruff be better at acrobatics or just general stuff like that? So I lent more towards wisdom, just because I feel it's a hard one, because they're very close. I think there's only 2 points between them. It's I think it's 16 and 14.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to ask, is why you've got animal handling. But when you think about, from my experience with Ruff and him as a character, I don't think it would necessarily mean he like knows how to ride horses and stuff and like tame things, but I think just because of his nature, like when he's not being a barbarian and like being angry and stuff, like he is pretty gentle, like he's just very a simple person who sees good in things. I think animals would feel at ease around him type thing.
Yeah, it was very much just that was the character I was going for. You've nailed it there. And then it's just, little things like he works on farms, so there's probably sheep, pigs, stuff like that. Admittedly, we haven't seen much of that in the town because it's now changed into a completely ale making town. But he grew up around farm animals and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's a nice juxtaposition from being a 6'6" half orc, like super imposing, being like an incredible specimen, like an incredible athlete, but then also having like the softer side where you can approach animals or get along with people or that sort of thing as well.
What we're trying to say is Ruff is Android 16.
Oh my god! Oh, I thought he was totally original, but he's Android 16.
You leave me no other choice.
Let it go, Gohan. Let it go.
So the character sheet makes total sense. Apart from one last thing I'm gonna point on is like, how come he's got proficiency in performance? I get the intimidation part, but
so I wouldn't have taken it, but part of when you take Drunken Master Monk, you get performance just by taking that monk line.
Okay.
So that's why he has a ukulele. And
okay.
I always I wrote it down to less natural talent and more personality. Like, you know how you have those drunks who are very good at telling stories, they got all the hand motions, they'll act it out. That was the way I always thought of it, was just, he's a proper laugh.
Yeah, he's not a good singer, but he's good at karaoke.
Exactly. Like, it's only because he has no points in charisma, it's literally just, a proficiency. So he's not, he's not got like 7 or 8 performance. I think it's just 3 or 4.
It's funny.
So, yeah, and he's a folk hero as well. Because I didn't even mention that because I sped through the backstory. But part of what made Ruff famous around the lands was Lord Kalen unleashed a Minotaur in the town just to like clear it up and say, oh, it was a natural disaster. It wasn't me. Ruff took it out, and that kind of spreads to all the little towns. So, like, news of that, there was like, oh, there was a commoner who beat up a Minotaur. So that was always kind of my deal with like the performance stuff for Ruff, was his personality exceeds him, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So he's well known, he's good at telling stories, but you wouldn't want to sit there listening to him sing or play the ukulele for more than 10 minutes. It's a party trick at most.
No, I think that like the whole like storytelling thing is because he's got quite low intelligence and he has got this sort of honest, like, just air to him. Like if like say. When you first met the Chaffinch, he'd go to you, like, I've defeated a Minotaur. He'd be like, all right, kid. But if he did, if Ruff came up to you, he'd be like, oh, shit, he probably has.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, there was like, so just to bring it back to Seebo a bit as well, there was a big running gag with Seebo, which I loved, by the way. I wasn't bitter about it at all. Seebo really wanted to be known by everyone. Like, he really wanted to be a famous magician. But everyone got his name wrong, including his own party members. I think even Chaffinch was getting it wrong until they spent like a month together.
Yeah, I used to call him Steamboat before.
So that was just a good running gag. It was this dude who really wants to be famous, who will never ever be famous, and I was fine with that. That was a great thing. With Ruff, it's kind of the other way around. He's so humble that it's made him famous. And I just like the way that plays out, because it's not famous, isn't it? As in everyone's like, there he is, that's Ruff, he saved everyone. It's just, oh, isn't that the dude who people were talking about? Look at him, he seems like a guy. It's a nice continuity from Seebo that would never happen.
It's a nice reflection of like, if doing the honest work gets the honest reward type thing.
Yeah,
where
exactly.
Seebo is just like, hey, let me do these shitty politics. Spread my name.
Like, Seebo was totally in it for, not totally in it. He was mostly in it for himself. He really liked the idea of being famous and being over the top and having everyone love him. Ruff just accidentally stumbles into things and just makes a name for himself without really trying.
Yeah, it's a great juxtaposition. Ooh, big word.
Ooh, nice words.
So, with all of the characters discussed, we get on to the section of are there any characters you have yet to play that you want to play? Any ideas for the future? Not any like immediate ones, like say your next character, because you obviously don't want to spoil it for the rest of us in the campaign. But like, is there any like character type you've always wanted to play but never really gotten around to? You got any ideas brewing or anything?
Yeah, so I think I said to Ryan a few weeks back. Obviously, we're in like the final act of this campaign.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably still quite a ways to go, but we're entering end game. It's So I've started doing a lot of brainstorming, and everyone wants to keep characters a secret, obviously, because you don't want to be like, I'm playing this race and this class, and I want you all to know. So I've rolled up I say rolled up. I've got general stats and some ideas for like 4 characters, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I've got a paladin, and I will say it's a Minotaur paladin who I want to play as like a complete tank if we need a tank.
Yeah.
I've got a healer ready, who is I don't mind saying this because people aren't going to look too much into it.
Yeah.
But I've got a healer ready who is I can't remember the website, but there's a website for making homebrew races where people can sell like their own ideas.
Yeah.
It's a scholar. I've had this idea in for a while, but the idea of a scholar is they use intelligence, like their medicine checks scale off of intelligence, and their healing spells scale off of intelligence.
So like a field physician type role.
Yeah, exactly. And that was mostly because intelligence is a really like hard stat to take in 5th edition because there's not many classes that need it. So I was like, that'll be fun. I have a druid as well. I'm not going to say much about the druid because I have a feeling that will be the character I play. Okay. It's a really exciting idea. Yeah, I really like if we're like, okay, whoever's running the next big campaign, I'll probably start with the druid because it's not when you think druid, you think, oh, good with plants, happy with nature, come from a very like a line of elves. It's not that at all. It's like nice. It's like how Ruff's a monk. It's the same kind of complete opposite, but still doing it.
So sort of like just stumbling into the profession.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Especially for a druid, it's so inherently like tied to tradition.
There's
whatever.
There's big reasons for it, which obviously I won't go into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super excited. It was a druid I'm more excited about because I think it's a good flex class. Like, if we don't have a healer, druid, that's fine. If you don't have a damage dealer, hey, you got a druid. If you need a tank, well, you can shape change. You're still a druid. They just do everything.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, I've got, I said 4. I know there's a 4th one, but I can't think of it right now. But when I was making these characters, it was basically like I can say to people, because, a lot of people don't want to say what their class and race is. I can just say, hey, are you going to heal? Are you going to tank? Are you going to damage? Are you utility? And whatever they say, I can be like, oh, okay, I can play this character to fit
play around that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think as long as you have some basic ideas, then you can just work it into any party. So that's kind of like that's the way I thought about making new characters.
Yeah, but I think on the inverse of that is sort of like the party we have now isn't balanced at all. We don't have like a pure healer and we have 3 monks. And I think that's made things quite hilarious.
When most of your healing comes down to a bard using healing word.
I can heal myself, fine. I mean,
oh, it's true.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much, Bill. So that will conclude our 2nd episode of Character Witness. We sometimes stream our games live on Twitch. Well, we started doing it last time. So I'll put that in the description. But yeah, so that's an end to another excellent episode. Thank you, Ryan, also for joining us. And yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was a blast talking about me.
Hey.